Thursdays, we have a DIY or self-improvement segment, and today we're going to be doing some self-improvement. And that conversation is on time management, how to develop your time management skills. We've been joined in the show today by Hannah Abrahams Appiah, who is a youth pastor, a pastor, an author, and a teen and youth educator. Hannah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Chris, this lady, see, Chris is French biased.
Oh,
and Hannah is also French biased, so I'm afraid of what is going to happen, but I have to just do the introduction properly.
I've met her before. I didn't even know she was.
Oh, yeah, very, very much so. She preaches in French, if you can imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's extreme.
Yeah, no, exactly. Extreme sports.
That's extreme.
Yeah, so time management. How do we, okay, so the nitty-gritties of it. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, we get to a point and we look back and we say, where did all the time go? You know, how do we make the most use of our time?
Thank you, David, for the question. How do we make the most use of our time? Let me start by saying the difference between the rich, the poor, the successful, the less successful, the impactful, the fulfilled is all about how those people manage and use their time. Also, time is finite. I repeat, time is finite and must be given direction per time. When you don't give direction to time, time flows along the paths of least resistance, just like water. What happens is many people don't learn the skill and the art of time management over time. And this art is learned right from when we are born till date. It's an art. So let me start like this. When you are born as a baby and you are privileged to have parents who understand time management, even babies are put on a schedule for feeding. So you find out that there are parents who feed their babies after 2 hours, every 2 hours. So that baby would not cry intermittently because he knows I'm fed at 8, I'm fed at 10, I'm fed at 12. That's time management because you are introducing that child to a routine. So that's the key word, routines. You give a set task. It must be accomplished within a time frame, okay? So this behavior now translates into the adolescent years, where we are going to school, there's a timetable, and now you are doing your education, your work life, your social life balance, extracurricular activities. Now, the difference is, at this age, it's forced. It's more like the system and your parents force you into a schedule or a routine. But when you get into the young adolescent age, that is where young adulthood, that means you have left 18s into the early 20s. That is where you are now going to build personal habits and foundations for life. But that is also where many people miss it because there suddenly people experience freedom. So they feel like, oh, there's no timetable, there's no dining hall bell, there's no mommy breathing down my neck. I have higher education, I have time at my disposal. So instead of inculcating these habits, which are lifelong habits, they allow life to flow because, one, they don't have a clear goal in life. And that is what time management is all about. There must be a clear goal, a clear purpose, a clear why. What do I want out of life? What do I want to see achieved this year, next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Number one. Number two, what is the plan in place? So how am I going to prioritize these goals I have set? Now let me put a clause here. If you don't plan your life, life plans for you.
Wow.
Oh yes.
Wow.
If you don't plan your life, so there's forced planning. For example, you go and get pregnant and you have a child as a young adult without a spouse, without any plan. Life will force you to wake up to go get a job. That is a forced plan of life. It is not because you planned your life that way. So if you want to be more successful and more impactful, it's always better to pre-plan. Decide, this is what I want, the goal, and this is what I'm going to do. So you must now prioritize. What are the most important things I need to do
To get to that goal.
to get to that goal I have set. How am I going to go about the prioritizing? That's when the time management principle of the 4 Ds come, you know, the urgent, the important metrics. If you use that in the 4 Ds, it's simple. If it's very urgent and important, do it. If not, you defer it, or you delegate it, or you delete it completely. There are many things we spend our time doing which should have been deleted. They are not urgent, they are not important. They don't add to our lives. They don't improve. Now, in addition to that, have a routine. What are the routines that helped you as a baby, helped you as a what do you call it, an adolescent, or the school set for you? Now, as a young adult and into the adult years, have a routine. If nobody plans your life for you, plan it for yourself. Many people get used to somebody planned my life, my teacher planned my life, my mother planned my life, but they just have no plan for their life. So have a routine. Let me digress to right now. We have 2 groups of people at home, post-BECE and post-SHS. I can guarantee you that more than 80% of them are just wasting time because they don't have a plan for that 3-month holiday that they have been given. They see it as freedom instead of seeing it as an opportunity to learn, improve, volunteer, acquire a skill.
But it's not even their fault because their parent might not know or might not have planned for them. So would you blame the kids if the kids do not know?
I wouldn't blame the kids, but I'll also blame them. Life is such that ignorance is no excuse of the law. Today, thanks to technology, everything is available online. And most people now today have access to phones, their libraries, and their institutions. And even in school, in their academic curriculum, they are taught these principles of using their time wisely. The issue is, are they able to do it? So you see, the ability to move from being controlled to self-initiation, that I need to manage this resource called time now in my young years, youthful years, so that it will benefit me in my adulthood years or in the years when I'm no longer working. That is where the catch point is. So when they understand that, then they will now start using that time resourcefully, planning what you want to see in life, setting goals, achieving them, reviewing. So every year, every 6 months, review and evaluate. Have I been able to achieve these goals I set? Were they too high or too low? Sometimes we set very low goals and then we achieve them and feel we have done well. But ideally, you must be able to achieve at least 80% of your goals if you set realistic, targeted goals.
All right. So does effective time management affect productivity?
Oh, yes, it does. One of the benefits of effective time management is there is productivity, there is less stress because you can now apportion your time effectively and you are able to do more within the limited time because you remember you are focusing now on the priorities and not on just the non-essentials. So it affects productivity. It makes you more successful. It makes you have a better work-life balance. And most importantly, it makes you fulfilled. You find that you have achieved so much within a very short time.
Wow. So for people who are younger, it's understandable when we're advising and saying that, you know, manage your time because you have many years ahead of you. You want to do the things that you need to do now so that your future is better and more enjoyable. But what about people who are older?
Already in their future.
They've gone past the hilltop, you know, and they are descending down towards the valley. You know, is time management also important for them?
Yes, it is. Irrespective of age, there is the aspect of availability of time because you still have life. If you retire at 60 and you are going to die at 90, you still have 30 more years.
Wow.
You may not be as energetic, but within those 30 years, what can you do within your strength and with the energy available? So you still use the same principles of have a goal. In these 30 years, I want to give back to society. I want to set up a business. We always talk about KFC. He started his business at 65.
Right.
He didn't give up and say, I'm old, I've retired. Sadly, we find many people retire and they give up completely on life and they are just waiting to die. But once you have a plan, once you have a goal, what happens is it keeps you driven.
Yeah.
It keeps you motivated. It keeps you focused. And so for those who have crossed a certain age, set realistic goals. There must be smaller goals you can achieve, not as
big as
you could have done in your youthful years. I used to be able to do sometimes 18, 20-hour stretch. But now I don't do that. I've slowed down considerably because I am growing older, and it is not wise because it's not a healthy work-life balance.
Right.
Okay.
So let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination is one problem that a lot of us face, especially when it comes to time management. You have your schedule. Yes, I will do this and do that, but later you're like, oh wait, I'll do it. Give me 5 minutes, I'll do it. By the time you realize 1 month, you've not done it. So how can people deal with procrastination?
Okay, so to deal with procrastination, what happens is, one, realize that it is a hindrance and understand the dangers of procrastination and not having effective time management. One, you're going to be stressed. You're going to do the same project, but within a shorter space of time, you're going to miss opportunities. That's the saddest part of procrastination. What you could have achieved in a particular time, you would not be able to achieve it because you procrastinated. Let me give a story to buttress. There was a pilot who was about to take off, and he was supposed to take off, let's say, at 10. But something just told him at 9:57, he was set, he was ready, move. And he followed his instinct, and he took off. Immediately he took off. A second later, there was an earthquake. And the whole city, including the airport where he was parked, was in chaos. It was nothing to write home about. Now, people's lives go that way. Because of procrastination, their lives crash behind them, and they see opportunities they could have easily been part of. But because they procrastinated in learning a language, procrastinated in learning a skill, procrastinated in finishing a task. Just when their boss walks into the office 2 minutes before the deadline, they were not ready. People miss out on their deadlines of their exams, their visas and interviews because they procrastinate. Oh, I can do it by 8 p.m. Oh, they said we should submit at 11. Then you finish at 11:01. So procrastination is one of the dangers of time management. It limits you, makes you miss opportunities, and puts a lot of unnecessary stress upon you. So avoid it like a plague, and be intentionally, intentional in setting timelines, routines for yourself, and then give, people around you accountability opportunities such that they can task you to the things you set yourself to do. Those things help you a lot to achieve more.
Right.
Wow. Are there any other skills that one would have to develop in order to be able to manage time, just generally?
In order to manage time, one of the other skills you have to develop is self-discipline. Because you see, self-discipline is what helps you in sticking to routines. So if you are not self-disciplined, sticking to routines becomes boring, and it becomes, so it's one of the most important skills you need to develop. And then you need to develop an intrinsic driving force, one that comes from within. You don't always wait for somebody to tell you. Go to many offices today. They will sign in at 8 p.m. and sign out at 5 p.m. But within 8 to 5, there's a lot of time wastage. They could have achieved maybe 3 or 4 reports within that period. But because nobody is breathing down their necks, they will idle. They may be at the security post or most of the positions where there's really no direct supervision. A lot of time is being wasted there because there is no self-discipline and there's no intrinsic driving force keeping them at a task and forcing them to deliver a certain magnitude of work within that frame. Now you watch it. When there is deadline, within 2 days, you're supposed to deliver something for $1,000. Have you realized that people are able to deliver? Now ask yourself, without the deadline, why am I not able to deliver?
Why all that stress?
Why all that stress? It's the procrastination, lack of self-discipline. So these are the other skills that you need to deliver that makes your time management very effective.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. This has been good. I feel there's so much that one can do and has to do, and that if we manage our time well, there'll always be enough time to do everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Bible even
This
tells
is actually
us.
it's a very good wake-up call for people out there, because I know that there are a lot of people that struggle with procrastination.
Yeah, they do.
Because they have great ideas, they have great thoughts, they have great things that you can see that they can do, but at the end of the day, it's just one thing holding them back, and that's
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good wake-up call.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we've been speaking with Hannah Abrahams Appiah. She is a pastor and author, a teen and youth educator.